Shafar, which means horn. The young, which means wine. Layashala, which means to Israel. Shapar, which means horn. Imagine we start with Padiak Pagum, which means stand, turn, and face the east. It's the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakutha, Tabah, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Barataza, Kawah, Hayah, Bashemayim, Rathundanawa, Lakam, Kaliwan, Wasalakanawa, Kawatwa, Wasalakwa, Kawatanawa, Wal'akabayanawa, Bansai 1, Abah, Shanawa, Mayan, Rai, Hayah, Lakah, Malakwa, Wa'ala, Wa'atabarak, La'ulamium Aman. In English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Prayer for the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Babu Shai, Nithanuno, Hakak, Hakak, Barpah, Kamakala, Wakamawa, Hakak, Latahar, Hamatazrayim, Hakak, Lakbayum, Hamakim, Hakak, Arakawa, Hamtam Shun, Hashem Yahushai, the water Amun. In the English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness, all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahushua, thank you. So be it. Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Ashai Yanya al-Harim, my Yanya of Isaiah, Isaiah ma'ayim Yahweh, Aisha Shemayim wa-Rataza, Aliyathan, Omawat Regalka, Ayanawam Shemarka, Hanala Ayanawam, while Ayashan, Shomar Yasha'al, Yahweh Shemarka, Yahweh Tazalka, Al Yadim Yunka, Shomam Hashamash, La'ayakaka, Wairak Balayala, Yahweh Shemarka, Bakal Ra Yashamar, Akapashka, Yahweh Yashamar Tazaka, Obarakam Aita wa Ada Walam. In the English, I will lift up my eyes into the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth and even forevermore. Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Al-Hayim, Al-Tamyalaka, Al-Sakharash, Al-Tashakwat Allah, Kayahana wa Yabika, Yahamyawan, Wamashanayaka, Nasha'awa Rash, Al-Ainaka, Yariyunwa, Sawad, Wayata, Iswa, Al-Zabawandika, Amar wa Lakawa, Wanakakira, Magoya, Wala Ayas Akar, Shamyash Al-Iwad, Kayano Aitazwa, Abyakadu, Ali Kabariyah, Yakaratwa, Ahalia Adawam, Wayashamalia, Wa'aba, Wahagari, Kabal, Wa'anwan, Wa'anwala, Plashak, Anyashabia, Tazawar, Gama Shawar Nalawa, Imam Haywaz or Wad, Sayasara, Kay Salak, Yamabunilawat, Salah, Aishalam, Kamadin, Kasayasra, Kayabin, but a call for Yashwan. Nashamadu Bayanda Ara, Haywad, the Man, Ladama, Shatamwin at the Yamur, Kaira, Kazaba, Wakazabak, Kazamina. Colin said, come with a Shah Marwa Naira Shah Lanawa. After Wat Alahayr, Alahaya said, Thumwa Kadagala, Kakwat, Puniraka, Kaashab Iria Ira, Okalahaba, Zalahat, Hari, Contra Dotma, Basairaka, or Basopaka, the HARLEM, Mal'a Punyam, for one way of Quashwa, Shamka, Yahweh, Yaba Ashwa, way of Hawa, I Kapar, way of Badwa, way of Daiwa, Yatha, Shamka, Yahweh, Labaika, Alya one, I'll call her Ratazas. In the English, keep not thou silence, O my power, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, but they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites, of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gebal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Basur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah, do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. He became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb, and like Zeed. Yea, all their princes as Zabak, and as Zalmunna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of the Most High in possession. O my power, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid of thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name. O Yahweh, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the Most High over all the earth.
Aisha, don't let anybody in unless it's a trooper or officer. He's going to go to get something to eat, all right? He's going to stay and clean up the school.
We're praying for the power structure in Hebrew. Brachta Yahweh. Why Yahweh Shai? Why Mayat Out? Why Alahaya? Matazabya Alawapihan. Alawapi. Hasrani. Hakasizyan. Hakayali. Wapi. Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. The Wada Aman. In the English, bless you Yahweh, and Yahweh Shai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yohanan, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and assistants. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, so be it. We're praying for the prophesied curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh, King of heaven and earth, and all things living. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, listen to us now, right now, saying evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the heathen that speak against us, thy prophets, the teachers, the princes, the priests, the Israelite brothers, and the school, saying evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the heathen, and shake loose the treasure of the rich of Israel. They refuse to give to the school. Force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary, saying evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the Edomites, and the nations, and their drug dealers, the court system, the prison system, Planned Parenthood, all the governments of our enemies, Amalek synagogues and armies, the Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, Islam, Christianity, Egyptology, militia, Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Nation, skinheads, posse comitatus, the gay movement, the lesbian movement, spies, workers of witchcraft, NASA space programs, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Wall Street. Open up the internet and the airwaves, the cable access channels, and the radio channels. Convict the spirit of any of thy people that seek to stop us, and bring swift destruction to all the heathen that stand in the way, who try to stop us from broadcasting your words throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues, cause them to go to and fro through the earth, and consume them. Let the plague shake the house of the thief and the murderer. Let Yahweh, Michael and Gabriel come down with the flying saucers, and punish all the heathens that come up against us as we speak thy word. Cause it to be known by all that it is the angels that have done it. Cause it to be spread through the media, throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake at thy coming. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you always. So be it. So I face the front. Shabbat, which means be seated. We're back here in headquarters for another Sabbath service, rocking it out in these early chapters of Genesis. We left off last week in the 21st chapter of Genesis. We have been following Abraham all over the earth. Abraham's journey has been like a movie so far. We've been, oh man, the travels of Abraham. If you missed it, you better catch up. But now, Abraham has the son that the Lord is going to give his blessings through. In his old age, Abraham now finally has Isaac. Now remember, his name in the Hebrew, Yitzchak, is the word. It's based on the word for laughter, because they laughed when the Lord told them that they was going to have a son in their old age. And so this is a massive blessing for Abraham. And now the Lord told Abraham to let Sarah cast out Hagar and her son, which is a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do for anybody, you know. But Abraham had faith, and the Lord let him know that his blessing is going to be through Isaac. So now, with all that as the background, here we are, and we're going to pick it up first in the Hebrew, and then we're going to go into the English here in Genesis, the 21st chapter and the 26th verse. Amar Abiyamalak La'ah Yedaikia Maya Aisha Athadabar Hazah Wagum Atha La'ah Hagadath Laya Wagum Anakia La'ah Shemaithia Balakia Haywum, verse 27. Salakia. Wayachak Abraham Tazaan Wabakwar Wayathan La Abu Yamalak Wayakarathwa Shanyam Barayath, verse 28. Wayatazab Abraham Athshabai Kabashat Atazaan Labadahan, verse 29. Wayamar Abu Yamalak Abraham Mahana Shabai Kabashath Ha'ala Ashar Hatazabath Labadana, verse 30. Wayamar Kaya Ashabai Kabashath Bequach Mayadia Ba'ibor Lahaya Laya La'ida Kaya Chaparathia Ath Haba'ar Haza'ath, verse 31. Alkan Korah Amakuum Pahu'a Ba'ar Shabai Kaya Shum Nashabaiwa Shanyaham, verse 32. Wayakarathwa Bariyath Baba'ar Shabai Wayakum Abiyamalak Wapekal Shar Hazabawa Wayashabwa Al Aratza Palashathim. And back to the English from 21 and verse 26. And Abimelech said, I wot not who hath done this thing. Neither didst thou tell me, neither yet heard I of it till this day. Now don't forget, because this is part of the story that we went through. Because Abraham was journeying and he went through Gerar. And in Gerar, Abimelech was the king of Gerar. And this was one of two instances where Abraham was journeying and he had Sarah say that she was his sister, because he thought that the people of this place would X him out to take her because she was so beautiful. And so, because they thought she was his sister, they just took her, and they didn't think they would have to X her out. But they didn't take her; they was getting ready to take her. But the Lord stopped them, and the Lord terrified Abimelech and let him know that he better not do this thing. And he started messing up all his area and his flocks and his own seed. They said he couldn't get his own women pregnant for months. And so the Lord was messing up. Abimelech terrified him and said, you better not touch Sarah, because that's Abraham's wife. and Abimelech realized he was a man of the Lord, so he gave him things. He gave him gifts. He restored obviously Sarah to him, and he gave him his own part in the land, right? But you fast forward, and where we left off last week, Abimelech's servants started having issues with Abraham's servants, and so they came together and they tried to make an agreement, because Abimelech still knew that Abraham was somebody that he is not to mess with. And so now we're in 21 and 26. We're going back and forth a little bit because the 21st chapter was mainly about Sarah and Hagar being cast out. And the Lord telling Hagar, don't worry, Ishmael is going to become a great nation and have his own blessing. He's just not the chosen seed. Right? So now we're back to 21 and 26 because Abraham had to come pull up and confront Abimelech because his servants had violently taken away the well of water. And there was some type of issue where they pulled up, they flipped out. And so now Abraham had to pull up on Abimelech and say, yo, this is my well. And so now in verse 26, and Abimelech said, I wot not who have done this thing, meaning I don't know who did this. Neither didst thou tell me, neither yet heard I of it, but today. So Abimelech saying, my servants did this, I don't know what happened. Verse 27, and Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them unto Abimelech, and both of them made a covenant. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, what mean these 7 ewe lambs which thou hast set by themselves? And he said, for these 7 ewe lambs shalt thou take of my hand, that they may be a witness unto me, that I have digged this well. Verse 31, wherefore he called that place Beersheba, because there they swear both of them. And we just read that in the Hebrew a minute ago, but that word Beersheba is Ba'ar Shabai, which means well of 7. Shabai is the word for 7. So this is well of 7, the 7 referring to the ewe lambs. Verse 32, thus they made a covenant at Beersheba. Then Abimelech rose up, and Phicol, the chief captain of his host, and they returned into the land of the Philistines. So they solved their issue, they solved their beef, they deaded it, right? Back to the Hebrew, verse 33. Wayatai Ashal Baba'ar Shabai Wayakora Shum Bashum Yahweh Al Iwalam. Verse 34. Wayagar Abraham Baratazah Bashafim Yum Yum Rabyum. 22 and verse 1. Wayahaya Achar Hadabaryum Ha'Allah Wahalahayim Nasa Af Abraham Wayamar Aliwa Abraham Wayamar Hananya. Verse 2. Wayamar Kwah Na'a Af Bunka Af Yachayadka Ashar Ahabath Af Yachazcha Walak Laka Alaratazah Amaria Wahailawa Shum La'ila Alachad Haharyam Ashar Amar Aliaka. Verse 3. Vayashakam Abraham Babakwar Wayachabash Ath Chamarwa Wayakwach Ath Shanya Na'iriwa Athwa Wa'ath Yadzakak Bunwa Wayawakwai Itazia Ila Wayakum Wayalak Al Hamakwam Ashar Amarwa Amarlawa Halahayim. Verse 4. Vayawam Ashalayasha Vayasha'a Abraham Ath Ayanua Vayara'a Ath Hamakuam Marakak. Verse 5. Vayamar Abraham Al Nairiwa Shabua Lakam Pa'im Hakamawar Wa'anya Wahanair Nalaka Aidka Wanashathakwa Wanashawaba Aliyakam. And back to the English from verse 33. And Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba and called there on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham sojourned in the Philistines' land many days. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. Which, by the way, this is a reminder to always have nuance, to be able to understand the different meanings of words, to be able to understand context, which Christians struggle with, and which atheists and people that just want to come up against the scriptures really struggle with, context and nuance. And there's something that I want to bring up just to show that, if I can find it real quick. Salaki, because we know that there's a scripture in James where the scripture says that that the Lord never tempts any man. Okay, James 1:13. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Now, of course, there's context, even though it's the same word being used, tempted. What James is telling you to do is to not be the Christian that says that everything is the devil, right? Everything is not the devil telling you to do something. It's your own lust. It's your own perversion. It's your own flesh. It's your own carnality. It's your own desires telling you to do those things. And when you say that, and when you hear all these Christians always say it's the devil in their ear trying to get them to do something, that's their way of detaching themselves from responsibility. That's their way of putting the responsibility somewhere else. It's not my fault. The devil made me do it. And that's why Christians do whatever they want and just come back on Sunday and say, I'm sorry, I love you, Jesus, and everything is all good. But there's different contexts for tempt. That's the message in James. Back here, the Lord was giving Abraham a test. And that is absolutely something that the Lord does all throughout the scriptures, is give us tests. And you got to be ready to pass those tests. I believe that's Satan's entire reason for being, is to give people tests. Is to make sure that you're worthy. You can't be worthy of anything if you don't have any tests. If you just have a smooth life and you just chill and you just cruise through life and nothing's ever hard for you, then what have you become worthy of? What have you earned? Nothing. So there's various tests throughout life, and this was a test against Abraham. This was a test unlike anything that most of us will ever face. And Abraham passed it with flying colors. And so this is it. Verse 1, and it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham, and he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son, Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of. Now remember, this is the same son that the Lord just gave him and told him that all his blessings will be through. He gave him this son in his old age when he never thought he would be able to have a son with the wife Sarah that he loved. And so they both laughed when this happened. But it happened. And you can imagine how it felt, how bonded he was, how much he loved his son. And then the Lord told him, get rid of your other son. Cast him out into the wilderness along with his mother. So you're all invested now in this son. And now the Lord pulls up and says, take him up to this mountain and kill him for a burnt offering. That's a hard thing. That's a hard thing to hear. But verse 3, and Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son and clave the wood for the burnt offering and rose up and went unto the place of which God had told him. And I want y'all to notice something. Do y'all see a dialogue in that? Did Abraham say anything? This is the same Abraham a few chapters earlier when God said he was going to destroy Sodom. Abraham's nephew Lot was in Sodom, and Abraham argued with the Lord back and forth to spare Sodom just for the sake of Lot. So Abraham was not scared to speak up. But when the Lord said this, he knew what he had to do. He didn't say anything back. The Lord just gave him an order, and he just got up, saddled his donkey, took 2 men, took Isaac, took the wood, and went to do it. And that's heaven. And that's a type of faith that the vast majority of the world can't even comprehend. It won't even make sense to them. You tell that to somebody on the street, they'll say, I would have said F the Lord. All right. Then what? What you think is going to happen to you next? Sounds good. And so verse 4, then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship and come again to you. And so now we're going to go back to the Hebrew. From Genesis 22 and verse 6. Wayachwak Abraham ath Aitazia Ha'ila Wayasham al Yathazachak Bunwa Wayakwak Bayadwa Athaash Wa'ath Hama'akalath Wa'alakwa Wani'ah Wanayaham Wakadwa, verse 7, Waya Amar Yatizchat al Abraham, Abiwa Waya Amar, Abia, Waya Amar, Hananya, Banya Waya Amar, Hana, Ha'ash, Waha'aitazium, Wahaya, Tasha, La'ila. And this is we're going to get to this in the English, but this is Isaac saying, here's the wood and here's the fire, but where's the lamb at? Verse 8, Wa Amar Abraham Alahayim Yara'ah Lawa Pasha La'ila Banya Wayalakwa Shanyam Wakadwa. Verse 9, Wayaba'awa Al Hamakwam, Ashar Amar, Lawah Hayim, Wayabun Shamha Abraham, Ath Hamazabak, Waya Iraq, Ath Ha'aitazium, Waya Iquad, Ath Yatazkat, Bunwa, Waya Shum, Athwa, Al Hamazabak, Mama'al, La'aitazium, verse 10, where Shalach Abraham, Ath Yadwa, where Kwak, Ath Hama'akalat, Lashakat, Ath Bunwa, verse 11, where Korah, Aliwa, Mala'ak Yahweh, Man Hashemayim, where Amar Abraham, Wayamar Hananya. Verse 12, Wayamar al Shalak Yadka al Hanair wa al Aisha Lawa Ma'awama Kaya Aitha Yadaithya Kaya Yar'a al Hayim Atha Wala'a Khashakath Ath Bunka Ath Yakayadka Mamanya. And back to the English from verse 6. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. So now he put, when he says he took the wood and laid it upon me, like he put it on his back, told him, carry this, and let's go up. So now they're walking up, just the two of them, up the mountain. Verse 7, and shout out to the chat and everybody in the chat. Verse 7, and Isaac spake unto Abraham his father and said, my father. And he said, here am I, my son. And he said, behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? Verse 8, and Abraham said, my son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. Abraham, at this point, he don't even know what to say. You can imagine what's going through his own head as he's going up on this mountain. Verse 9, and they came to the place which God told him of. Slaki, which God had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And this is one of those moments where I've been talking about, where you got to really visualize this, right? The scripture tells us what happened, but you got to visualize this. You can imagine they get up to the top and Abraham just grabs Isaac and ties him up. This is real life. Isaac's like, what are you doing, Pops? What's going on? What you mean? Like, there's a real, Abraham's having to hear his son struggling, asking him, questioning him, what's going on? Why are you doing this to me? And just keep on doing it, because this is the order that Abraham got from the Lord. And so now he puts him on the altar. Remember, he's still alive and conscious. He's still probably just begging his father, asking him why he's doing this. And Abraham's just calmly tying him up, putting him on the altar. In verse 10, and Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. And this is where Abraham raised his hand up and mustered all his strength, and he knew what he had to do. In verse 11, and the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here am I. Which he was probably, hoping against all hope in the back of his mind to hear some voice before he brought his hand down. Verse 12, and he said, lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son from me. And this is the point of all of this. Abraham was given a test. The Lord chose Abraham, through whom seed, even today, every major religion in the earth is called the Abrahamic faith, because they all respect, they all trace somehow their lineage back to Abraham. And of course, everything that's contrary to these scriptures and what we teach in here is wrong. But I'm saying this to say that this is a man that the Lord chose to really set the stage for everything throughout history afterwards. So he's going to test him first. He's going to make sure that this is a man that can be relied on to follow orders, to not do his own thing, to not say, nah, that's too much, Lord, I can't do that. To not say, what you asked me to do? Nah, I'm going to go over here and kick it in my tent. I'm not doing that. The Lord needed a man that was going to follow him unquestioningly, that he could rely on. And that's who Abraham was. So now we're going to go back to the Hebrew. Verse 13 in chapter 22 still. Wayash'a Abraham, Ath Ayanua, Wayara'ah, Wahana, Ayal, Achar, Naachaz, Basabak, Bakuranyua, Wayalak Abraham, Wayakwak Ath Ha'ayar, Wayaliwa, La'ila, Lakath, Bunwa, verse 14, Wayakura Abraham, Shum, Hamakuwam, Ha'wa'a Yahweh, Wayara'ah, Ashar, Ya'amar, Hayawam, Bahar, Yahweh, Yara'ah, verse 15, Wayakura, Mala'ak, Yahweh, Al-Abraham, Shaniath, Mun, Hashemayim, Wayamar, Bayah, Nashabaithia, Ba'am, Yahweh, Kaya, Ya'ain, Ashar, Aishiath, Ath, Hadabar, Hazah, Wala'ah, Hashakath, Ath, Bunka, Ath, Yachayadka, verse 17, Kaya Barak, Abaraka, Waharba, Arba, Ath, Zaraika, Kakawakabia, Hashemayim, Wakakawal, Ashar, Ashapat, Hayam, Wayara'ash, Zaraika, Ath, Sha'ir, Ayabua, verse 18, Wahatabarakwa, Bazaraika, Kal, Goya, Haratzah, Iqab, Ashar, Shemaith, Baqualia, Wayashab, Abraham, Al-Nairwa, Wayakumwa, Wayalakwa, Wakarwa, Al-Ba'ar, Shabai, Wayashab, Abraham, Baba'ar Shabai, verse back to the English. That is 1, 2, 3. Back to the English at verse 13. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. So he was able to look at Isaac afterward and say, see, I told you the Lord was going to give us something to sacrifice. Verse 14, and Abraham called the name of that place Yahweh Yarah in the Hebrew, which is, as it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it shall be seen. And that word Yarah is provide. And that's when you hear Christians say Jehovah Jireh, that's what this is. In the Hebrew, it's Yahweh Yarah, which is the Most High provides. Verse 15, and the angel of the Lord called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time, and said, by myself have I sworn, saith the Lord, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned unto his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. So now we're going to go back to the Hebrew. From verse 20. chapter 22 and verse 20. Wayahaya Akarya Hadabaryam Ta'Allah Wayagad La Abraham La Amar Hana Yolada Malakah Gum Hawa'ah Bunyam Lanakawar Akika, verse 21. Ath Iwas Akarwa Wa'ath Wawaz Akiwa Wa'ath Wa'al Abya Aram, verse 22. Wa'ath Kashad Wa'ath Chazwa Wa'ath Paladash Wa'ath Yadalat Wa'ath Bath Wa'ala, verse 23. Wa'ath Wa'ala Yalad Ath Rabqua Shemna Allah Yalada Malakah Nachor Achya Abraham, verse 24. Wa'Palagashwa Wa'Shema Ra'awama Wa'Thalad Gum Hawa'ah Ath Tabach Wa'ath Gacham Wa'ath Lachash Wa'ath Ma'aika, chapter 23 and verse 1. Wa'Yahaiwa Chaya Shara Ma'ad Shana Wa'Aisharyam Salakia Shana Wa'Shabai Shaniam Shanya Chaya Shara, verse 2. Wa'Thamath Shara Wa'Koriath Arbai Hawa'ah Chabarwan Baratazah Kana'ain Wa'Yaba'ah Abraham Lasapad Lashara Walabakatha. And back to the English, verse 20. And it came to pass after these things that it was told Abraham, saying, Behold, Milcah, she hath also borne children unto thy brother Nahor. Buz his firstborn, and Buz his brother, and Kemuel the father of Aram, and Chesed, and Hazo, and Pildash, and Jidlap, and Bethuel begat Rebekah. These 8 Milcah to beget to Nahor, Abraham's brother. And his concubine, whose name was Reumah, she bare also Tabah, and Gaham, and Thahash, and Ma'achah. Chapter 23 and verse 1. And Sarah was 107 and 20 years old. These were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kirjath Arba. The same is Hebron in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And Abraham stood up from before his dead and spake unto the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And we went a little past it, but we're going to go back to the Hebrew and come back to that. Back to the Hebrew at verse 3. Wayakwam Abraham Ma'al Punya Mathwa Wayadabar al Bunya Chath La Amar, verse 4. Gar Wathawashab Anakia Imakum Thunwal Laya Achazath Kobar Imakum Wakobara Mathia Malapunya, verse 5. Wayainwa Bunyachath Athabraham La Amarlua, verse 6. Shema'inwa Adunya Nashia'ah Alahayim Atha Bathawakanwa Bakar, Kwabar Yanwa, Kwabar As Mathka, Ayas, Mamanwa, As Kwabarwa, La'a, Yakala, Mamka, Makwabar, Mathka, verse 7. Wayakwam Abraham, Wayashethakwa, La'aim Harataza, Lapunyachaf, verse 8. Wayadabar, Athum, La'amar, Am Yash Ath, Lapashkun, Lakwabar Ath Mathia, Malapunya, Shemai Wanya, Wapunya Ayim, Salakia, Wapagaiwa, Laya, Ba'ai Bun Tazakar, verse 9, Wayathun Laya, Ath, Ma'irath, Hamakapala, Ashar Lawa, Ashar, Bakwatazah, Shadawa, Bakasat, Mala'ah, Yathanunha, Laya, Bathwakam, Lakazath Kwabar. And back to the English.
All right. Are you taking care of the copies to the general?
We have verse 3.
And
And Abraham stood up from before his death and spake unto the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the children of Heth answered Abraham, saying unto him, Hear us, my Lord. Thou art a mighty prince among us. In the choice of our sepulchres, bury thy dead. None of us shall withhold from thee his sepulchre, but that thou mayest bury thy dead. So this is how much respect everyone had for Abraham. Wherever he went, they saw that the Lord was with him. And they were willing to give him whatever he needed, whatever he wanted to make him comfortable. That everywhere Abraham went, they had this type of respect for him. Verse 7, and Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, even to the children of Heth. And he communed with them, saying, If it be your mind that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me, and entreat for me to Ephron the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he hath, which is in the end of his field. For as much money as it is worth, he shall give it me for possession of a burying place amongst you. So for whatever reason, Abraham had a particular cave in a particular spot that he wanted to bury Sarah, and he was willing to pay whatever money, even though everybody offered him the best graves that they had in the land. He wanted this particular cave. We're going to go back to the Hebrew. And it should be the last set for today. Shalom, shout out to everyone in the chat checking in. Verse 10. By Parwan, Yashab, Bathawat, Bunyachath, Wayana I Parwan, Hachathya, Ath Abraham, Bazanya, Bunyachath, Bakal, Ba'ya, Sha'ar, Ayar Wala Amar. Verse 11, La'ai Dunya, Shema'anya, Shaddai, Nathafia, Laka, Waham'ira, Ashar, Bawalaka, Nathafia, La'ayanya, Banya'anya, Nathafia, Laka, Kwabar, Mathka, verse 12, Wayashathakwa, Abraham, Lapunya Aim, Harataza. Verse 13, Waydabar, Alai Parwan, Bazanya Aim, Harataza, La'amar, Akam, Atha, Lawa, Shemania, Nathafia Kasap, Hashada Kwak, Mamunya Hakobara, Ath Mathya Shema, verse 14. Waya Ainai Parawan, Ath Abraham, La Amar Lawa, verse 15. Adunya Shemanya, Arataza Arbai, Ma'ath, Shakwal Kasap, Bayunya, Wabayanka, Mahawa'a Wa'ath, Mathka, Bakwar, verse 16, where Shemai Abraham al Iparwan, where Shakwal Abraham la Iparwan, Ath Hakasap, Ashar Dabar, Ba'azanya Bunya Chaf, Arbai Ma'awath, Shakwal Kasap, Ibar la Sakar. And back to the English. Verse 10. And Ephron dwelt among the children of Heth. This was Ephron, the 2 verses ago. He said, this is the man who owns the cave that Abraham wanted. The scripture says, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the audience of the children of Heth, even of all that went in at the gate of his city, saying, Nay, my lord, hear me. The field give I thee, and the cave that is therein I give it thee. In the presence of the sons of my people give I it thee. Bury thy dead. So this, again, is how much respect they had for Abraham anywhere he went. Everyone knew Abraham. Everyone knew the Lord was with him. Verse 13. Salaki, verse 12. And Abraham bowed down himself before the people of the land. And he spake unto Ephron in the audience of the people of the land, saying, But if thou wilt give it, I pray thee, hear me. I will give thee money for the field. Take it of me, and I will bury my dead there. Because Abraham he didn't want to be given this thing. He wanted a deal where he paid for it. It was his, no questions. This is how important it was for him to have this specific cave to bury his wife Sarah that he loved in. And verse 14, and Ephron answered Abraham, saying unto him, My Lord, hearken unto me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that betwixt me and thee? Bury therefore thy dead. See, he's saying it's 400 shekels. I don't know how much 400 shekels is back then, but I do know that Abraham was balling. And clearly this guy, Ephron, was balling too. So this, who knows how much money this was, but whatever amount, they thought it was like pennies. And Ephron was like, that's nothing. This thing is worth nothing. Just take it. Verse 16, and Abraham hearkened unto Ephron, and Abraham weighed to Ephron the silver, which he had named in the audience of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, current money with the merchant. So basically the agreement was, look, it's just worth 400 shekels. Fine. You want to pay for it? Pay for it. It's nothing between us. And so Abraham weighed out the silver, because remember, at this time, they actually had actual money that was backed by actual precious metals. You weighed the money in silver. Slakia. Current money with the merchant. And that is where we're going to leave off this week. We're going to pick up next week where Isaac is going to get himself a wife. But for now, car, which means horn. Second. Yeah, young, which means wine. La Yasha Allah, which means to Israel. Shapar, which means horn. Imagine start putting out the dim, which means stand, turn and face the east. Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew, Abanawa, Shabashamayim, Kodash Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakaka, Tabaa, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Barataza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashamayim, Nefmanuna, Lakam, Kalyum, Wasalakana, Kawakana, Kasalakana, Kawakana, Wala'a, Namiyan, Banasewan, Abal, Haushano, Mayan, Ra, Kaya, Waka, Amalakwa, Wa'ala, Wahata, Barak, Vadilumium, Amun. In the English, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever, so be it. Pray for the power in Hebrew. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, Baba Shah, Nathunno, Akak or Pa'ah, Kal Makalau, Kal Marawa, Akak, like the Har, Hamatazarian, Akak, like Bayum, Amathi, Akak, our Kawa, Hatam Allah, our son, Bashem Yahushua, Wada Aman. In the English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushua, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness, and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out, in the name of Yahushua. Thank you, so be it. Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Ashai Yanya, Allahari, Mayan, Yavai Zarya, Isaiah Ma'am Yahweh, Aisha Shemayim Wa'arataza, Aliyathan, Lamawat Regalka, Aliyawam Shamar, Hana, La'ayawam, Wala'ayashan, Shamar Yasha'al, Yahweh Shamar, Yahweh Tazalka, Ayah Yamyunka, Yawmum, Hashamash, La'ayah Kakal, Wayarach Balayla, Yahweh Yashamar, Makalari Yashamar, Afna Pashka, Yahweh Yashamar Zaka, Wabawa'aka, Ma'aitha, Wa'ada Walum. In the English, I will lift up mine eyes into the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth and even forevermore. Psalm 83 in the Hebrew, Al-Hayim, of the Miyalakaf, the Harash, Wal Tashakwatala, Kayahana Yabika, Yahamiwan, Washanayaka, Nishau Rash, Al-Amka, Yariyomu Sawad, with the Ayatazawad, Azab Wanif, a Marwell, a Kaw, when a Kakim, Goya, or I as a car Shamyashal, Iwad, Kayah, no Ayatazawad, Labia Khadwa, Alika, Baryat, Yakurafu, Ahalia Arawam, like Shamalia, or Abba, or Hagari, Gabal, Imawan, Imalak, Shakai Mishabia, Tazawar, Gamasawar, Nawa, Amambo, Haywa, Zawai, Banyalawat, Salah, Aishalam, Kamadi, Kasaya Shara, Kayabin, Banakal, Yaswan, Nashamadu, Bayanda Ara, Haywa, Daman, Ladima, Shethamwa, Nariamu, Kaira, Zaaba, Kazabak, Kazalmana, Kalasam Kumwa, Ashar, Amarwa, Nayar Shah, Lanawa, Ah, Nawaf, Alahayim, Alahayasha, Thamwa, Kagaldo, Kakwash, Lapaya Rakah, Kaash, the Bairi Ira, Kalahaba, the Lahat, Hari, Kantaradama, Basirika, or Basopatka, the Bahalam, or Abhanya, call one way of Kwasha, Shukaya Hawa, Yabasha, way of Hawa, I, way of Kapar, way of Badu, way of Dawa Kaya, Thash, and Kaya Hawa, Babadka, I one alcohol ratiza. In the English, keep not thou silence on my power, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power, for lo, thine enemies make it tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarites, Gabal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah, do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb, and like Zeeb. Yea, all their princes as Zabah, and as Zalmunna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of the Most High in possession. O my power, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name. O Yahweh, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the Most High over all the earth. Prayer for the power structure in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh. Wa Yahweh Shai. Wa Mayaka Allah. Wa Allahai. Matazabi Allah Yahani. Halawapi. Hasranu. Hapartiziani. Hachayali. Wa Akwathi. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Gawada Amen. In the English, bless you Yahweh. And Yahweh Shai. And Michael. And the angels. Commanding General Yahani. The generals. The captains. The officers. The troopers. And the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you, so be it. Prayer for the prophesied curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh, King of heaven and earth and all things living. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, listen to us now, right now. Send evils and curses, the punishment and destruction to the heathen that speak against us, thy prophets, the teachers, the princes, the priests, the Israelite brothers, and the school. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the heathen, and shake loose the treasure of the rich of Israel, that refuse to give to the school, and force their riches to enter into our sanctuary. Send evils and curses, and punishment and destruction to the Edomites and the nations, their drug dealers, the court system, the prison system, Planned Parenthood, all the governments of our enemies, Amalek synagogues and armies, the Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, Islam, Christianity, Egyptology, militia, Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Nation, skinheads, posse comitatus, the gay movement, the lesbian movement, spies, workers of witchcraft, NASA space programs, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Wall Street. Open up the internet and the airwaves, the cable access channels, and the radio channels. Convict the spirit of any of thy people that seek to stop us. Bring swift destruction to all the heathen that stand in the way, or to try to stop us from broadcasting your words throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues, cause them to go to and fro through the earth and consume them. Let the plague shake the house of the thief and the murderer. Let Yahweh Shai, Michael and Gabriel come down with the flying saucers and punish all the heathens that come up against us as we speak thy word. Cause it to be known by all that it is the angels that have done it. Cause it to be spread through the media throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake at thy coming in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you always, so be it. Sorry, face the front. We're going to give one courtesy salute that concludes this week's Sabbath service here at headquarters. Men of Israel, Imajim. Men of Israel, Imajim Shabbat. Imajim Barak. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai Rakathon. Yazim Matah. Dismissed.